Hello everyone. So yesterday I posted a video about this 303 nose cap. It was responded very nicely. Well, then again, it only had like 3-4 views. It's not about the views on YouTube, okay? So I thought today I go over the different types of nose caps you can find on the Lee Enfield. And we have the Turkish Mauser out here because this still technically does have a nose cap. But I'll explain that later. So when the 303 came around, well, not the 303, but the charger loading Lee Enfield, or just the Lee Enfield, not the #1 Mark III or the Star. I think it was just called the Lee Enfield, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. But they had a similar style of nose cap to this, which was a piece of metal and bayonet lug. And then when we got to the #1 Mark III, or the #1 Mark I, star, or asterisk, we had the familiar shape of the 303 nose cap. The only things that were different, well, let's go over similarities. The bayonet lug, the extra sling loop, except it actually had a sling loop for it. The only thing that was different, however, was these two protective ears. They were folded inwards. So when you aimed in, you had a much more folded sight picture. And so, by the time we came around with the new stuff, by the time we came, I already said that. By the time we came around to the 1900s, we made the #1 Mark III, which was an overall better improvement of the #1 Mark I, asterisk. So we opened up them ears a bit more and removed that sling loop. However, on some of the #1 Mark IIIs, they still had the sling loop right there. Bayonet lug remained the same, the way you screw it in, the exact same. Holes there, exact same. Everything's the exact same. But however, when we got to World War I, we realised that this was a little bit time consuming to make, because this is a milled piece of metal right here. As you can see, it's all nicely milled. You've got all the nice indents. Lovely. So by the time we got to World War I, we saw a squared off nose cap, which is more or less this one right here. Well, this is more or less to resemble the rounded off one, but I didn't have the good enough pieces. But pretty much it resembles its shape, except up here it's got this sloped off pattern like that, and then squared off ears, instead of having them nicely machined and curved in. No, they're all just on the side right there. And what they did do was they removed that sling loop. Well, remove that sling loop there. Of course, this one, I've just put the bayonet lug back there. But the bayonet lug would be here instead of right there. But of course, this is the familiar one. You may know it from the Ishapora 2A1. Lovely rifle. So when people see Lee Enfields with this nose cap, like a squared off one, they think, oh wait, it's got a 7.62 nose cap. No, it was originally a 303 nose cap, but the Indians then adopted it as they couldn't be bothered to make this. So they adopted the squared off one to make production faster. The Lee Enfields that had the round off and the squared off ones were chambered in 303 or 303, oops, 303 and 303. Yeah, I kind of have a bit too much of a 303 overdosage. That's if you can even, that's if what you can call it. I just have 2 charges. Okay. But then we're going to take away all this 303 and I'll actually get into the cartridge a little bit later. And also, real quick, we're just going to safety check these guns. Well, it's a Lego one, so it can't really fire anyways. I'm going to safety check. Sure that bolt is all the way back and... Oh, and a cartridge. Of what? 303. Oh. So that's right, the 303 cartridge that I've made here, it's based off this cartridge. Or this one, whatever way you look at it. This one is a HXP, which is the Greek surplus of 303 and 69. And in this one, we have a Fabrique Nationale, so Belgium 52, I think. Yeah, 52. And the 303 would fire, well, of course, the 303 British, since the early adoption from the 1890s. But loaded in 10-round magazines. Same with this one, which I'll go ahead and grab out. Oh! Oh, no. Right, there we go. Pop that there. So, yeah. I think this is a magazine for a number 4 Mark II, because it's been parkerized. Parkerizing is when you take something and you just make it all grey. This is an actual mag. So if I try to put some 303s in, these are inerts, YouTube. They actually go in. Also, all of this, YouTube, are inerts. Just one round. These are all inerts. So is this one. That's a different inert. These are also inerts right here. See, right there. But I'll explain the 303 cartridge and if it's being made today. Alright, so we're going to take that one out because I don't have the HXP one. I only have the Fabrique Nationale one. But that's your 303 mag. You will have 10 rounds of 303 British. Immediate competitive advantage over the Mauser. Those are also inerts and shell casings. But yeah. What was it? So in 1939, Britain had to make a new Enfield design. So they came up with the number 4 Mark I, which was then called the number 1 Mark VI, which is officially what the number 4 is called, as they just renamed it. Yeah. So many things were done so you couldn't change them. Like you couldn't have a number 4 mag in a number 1 Mark III mag well. Of course, the number 4 Mark I wasn't adopted until 1941. So you can still see very rare footage of British troops in North Africa before the adoption of the number 4 with 303 and 1 Mark IIIs. Very cool. But as you can see, this is what a number 1 Mark III style would look like. Of course, this one's a little short boy. So what they've done is, the No. 1 Mark III Star, is they actually removed the mag cutoff, and you will actually have two different types of safeties. Of course, on this one you just have the one safety. You'd have a 3-piece safety and a 5-piece safety. The 5-piece safety would actually accommodate for volley sights. So under the number 1 Mark III, that's the one with the mag cutoff and the volley sights. If there was a large amount of troops, you could just flip the volley sights and just toss the lead down range at the enemy, whoever the enemy was, the Boers, the Germans, whoever. Yeah. We're going to move that out of the way. Now, the Lee Enfields were forced, well, not forced, but the Lee Enfields were used against, well, were used by the British and the Commonwealth. The Canadians recently retired Lee Enfields. The Canadian Rangers retired them, in fact. And there's actually a 8mm Mauser, a Turkish conversion called Enfields, which is Enfield and Mauser. This is another inert steel cased World War II. I'll get into the Mauser in a minute. But yeah, the Turks done that. Right, let's go and explain the Turkish nose cap. Well, or any Mauser nose cap. You're going to just move the 8mm Mauser. So, the 8mm, what am I even saying? The Mauser nose caps are very interesting. So let me go ahead and get the rifle and flip it up. Like so. So, the Turks, well, any Mauser, they had just this, a simple band. This is based off the Gewehr 98. The Gewehr 98 will actually have a H band. And then that would be adopted to the K98K, which is Karabiner 98 Kutz. And it'll be adopted to Czechoslovakian weapons, any Mauser variation. I believe in the 1940s, they then changed it, so it would have a, just a simple machined, stamped nose cap. Just like this. Except this is a 1939, and Germany in 1939 were making H bands. Of course, this got everything you need for a Mauser. Your barleycorn sights, your bayonet lug, cleaning rod, which is a it's a interesting cleaning rod. It's been used a lot. And also you got your other bayonet lug, like the 303. Except with this one, you would have the bayonet lug on the barrel instead of a separate piece. No, this rear bayonet lug is the exact same as the Lee Enfield. Like that. But pretty much, this is just a simple Gewehr design. Ooh. That's because the sling is flat down. Let me go and safety check the rifle real quick. We are clear, and there is nothing in the chamber besides besides from some oil. You've seen this gun. Speaking of this gun, I may have said this is going into cock on close action, which is very hard to do with your right hands for me. As you can see, when you bring the ball forward, it's cocked, and then you just bring it on down. The Lee Enfield was in a cock on close action, so if you was a German soldier and you decided to go and see what the difference was, you picked up a Lee Enfield from the Battle of the Somme, picked one up, and you done that, and you tried to fire it, it wouldn't do anything. So it's a cock on close. Of course, this is an 8mm Mauser, but this is a very good gun. Now, the 303 British cartridge, as I was saying, the 303 British was run in charger clips. Specifically, we have two chargers right here. We have a World War II charger clip and a First World War charger clip. So if you're doing reenacting, you need to buy these. If you're doing World War I, this for World War II. You might be thinking, wait a minute, why can't I just use these for World War I? That's shush. These were used by the British forces and the Canadian forces, Australian, or all the Commonwealth forces in World War I. When they came out with this in World War II, you can also tell because it has Mark IV. But it doesn't mean I won't use it. Let me tell you this. People will be able to tell the difference between that and that. Because if people have been to military fairs, they would, or military shows, they would see these used by World War II soldiers, these used by World War I. But if you are going to use one of these clips, get multiple that are loose. What do you mean, get one that is loose? Or get multiple? Let me explain. You can see my whole collection in the background. I will go over my collection burnings. Oh Christ. Your two chargers. You have this charger used by World War I, or using World War I. The reason why I say to get one loose is because when you try to put one in, round in, you can see it goes in nicely, but it's when you try to push that round down, you can feel some real force into that. So I say get at least a lot of them loose. Here's what I get. I have one of my loose chargers, and as you can see, the rounds go in nicely, and I've also done it by the book method. The rounds go in nicely, and then you'll be able to dump them in to your 303 Enfield, and then you'll be able to drop the clip, and the clip makes this distinctive noise. If you've ever owned an M1 Garand, you know what the noise is. That ping. Speaking of 303, let's talk about its service life. These are over 100 years old. Sorry, they're actually over, I think they're like 137 years old. Which is quite old for a 303 cartridge. 137 years old. Very old. But yeah, is the 303 still around today, and how much are the inert rounds? Well, the 303 is still around today if you live in places like America or stuff like that. The most common source for 303 is, we actually find one that says it, is this one. Is a cartridge, well-known manufacturer of old ammo. To this very day, it is called PPU. PPU is based, I think it's based in Serbia. All their original intents are to make fresh, clean ammunition. Now you might be thinking, when you rub, or when you put this on a charger, and you pick up your casings up, you find a whole bunch of brass. Do you think the brass is actually coming off? Well, no, because this, it's not real brass. It's actually a gold coating. So I don't really know what coating of gold. You can see PPU. Camera can focus. But also you have other manufacturers like Privy, Partisan, or the next best one, which is S&B. S&B make the 303 in the same type. They're both tapered, unlike its enemy, the 8mm Mauser. Now you might think, hey, that's just a PPU showcasing one. It's actually not. It's an original 1939, not 39, 35 showcase. That I used to clean. Now, what other manufacturers are there? Well, you won't be able to find modern manufacturers now, but you might be able to find some of that 303 surplus. So this is a DPD 303 British. It's a 303 British drill round. Now you might be thinking, that's not a drill round. A drill round's got silver and red. Well, the Britain made 303 drill rounds in brass as well. These would have actually been fired as well. So bullet would have off. Now what guns was the 303 used in? Well, let's just say we have Bren. This is only a Bren magazine, YouTube. It's only a Bren mag is empty, so be using the Bren. And of course, the Lee Enfield, most common. It would be used in other guns as well. I think in the Vickers gun, the Hotchkiss. Well, I'm not sure. I'm not too sure on Hotchkiss really. I think it might be in 303 or 8mm Lebel. You can correct me on that in the comments. And then the Lewis gun as well, the Ross rifle, and many other firearms in 303. I could name them all right now. You can write 100 books on them, let me tell you that. Probably not even 100,000 books on the 303. That's how popular a single round is. Now, when some people get a 303 Enfield, they're probably gonna safety check it, take the mag out, and maybe give it a few dry fires. So when people see, when they just bring this in, when they dry fire it, the bolt handle comes up. Some people think, oh, the bolt's broken, I'll just go get a new bolt. No, the bolt is actually fine. It's because of how many times the Lee Enfield was dry fired in service. So in service, soldiers would dry fire the heck out of this thing. And because it never broke a firing pin, it was one of the best firearms known to mankind. Which which is pretty good in my overall opinion. But yeah. However, its competitors was the 8mm Mauser. Oh, the 8mm Mauser. As you can see, there is a height difference. The casing is almost the exact same, however the bullet is a little bit higher. Well, actually the casing is a lot more taller, because on the 8mm Mauser, they have the little indents at the primer and the head, well not the head but the bottom, here the lip, where you actually go on a stripper clip. You know, the 303 just has a rim so it can go on chargers. Now, what happens to the 303 after World War II? It was still used up until Britain then adopted the SLR, or self-loading rifle. I think that's what it abbreviates or something. Self-loading rifle, and it was used for quite some time. Even my granddad used one when he was in the army. He loved it. And funny story, he always had one. He had one that the barrel was longer than the others. So yeah, but pretty much the 303 went obsolete, and it's still pretty much obsolete, but it is expensive to get a hold of 303. Speaking of that, let's take a look at how much an inner round costs. So the price may vary on whatever website you're using, but if you are using a website where these cost £1, that's good. You buy 10 of them, they cost a tenner. That's good. But however, I've seen ridiculous prices for 303 on chargers. Guess how much this costs? Did you guess? Good. This costs, I've seen the water prices vary, I'll list 3 of them. This goes for £5. Oh Christ. It goes for £5. I've seen some of them even go for £7 on genuine World War I clips. And even worse, £12 for 2 chargers and 10 303s. You can do it for cheaper. But I suppose I ain't going to change due to the way the milsurp market is going. I say, yeah, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.